What is going on, 5-9 gamers, and welcome back to the 5-9 mobile channel. My name is Vilify, and today we are going to be looking at something quite interesting over on the Dokkan side of things. Now, if you are out of the loop, yesterday Dokkan decided to drop the Cell Max super difficult event over on both versions at the same time, so that was kind of a pleasant surprise, but we kind of knew that was happening, right? And this event is really tough, so we're going to go ahead and break it down and give you guys a couple strategies, talk about what we like about it, what we don't like about it, and I say we because I am joined by a few guests today, and opening up the man of many gotchas, he likes Dokkan the most though, don't listen to what he says otherwise, Mr. Gale Riot.
I mean, after my recent events of where my Genshin account got hacked, I mean, I'm appreciative that Dokkan at least has a good security system. What's up, everybody? Very much looking forward to this discussion because this event is something else, man. It is something else.
And then we have another man who appreciates Dokkan. He has a beard, he wears glasses, he has a hat. His name is Tystra.
What is going on, my dudes? What was the explanation?
I don't know. I was looking at your little Discord picture on my OBS, and I was like, let me just kind of look at everything.
That's the best intro I could have ever gotten. 10 out
It's
of
the
10.
bait. It's the bait and switch, right?
They're like, who is that? Oh, it's Tystra.
Yeah. Okay, so Tystra, I think you have something you want to say before we get started, right?
Yes. Okay. So another Dokkan confessions. I haven't completed the Cell Max event.
Have you
I
attempted
haven't looked
it?
into it? No, I haven't
Okay.
touched it. I haven't looked really into it. I see things on Twitter, obviously. You know, the Dokkan pro I am. But in all honesty, like I have not touched it. I haven't looked into it too much. I just see how people are struggling, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So we brought Tystra along to kind of give the going in blind perspective, or someone that maybe has not had time to kind of dive into this event yet. But I think a good way to think about the last phase of the Cell Max event is take a red zone stage and then like beef it up even more, right? Like this Cell Max just hits so much harder than anything I've seen. Like there's just so many units that you think are going to tank his super attack, and then you just see like 500k and you're like, what in the world am I supposed to do? What do you think, Gil?
Yeah, no, it's basically ×3 all of the red zone stages, basically. I mean, if you look at Broly's, damage he deals you, like, if you get a super attack from Broly, let's say with a unit that has 300,000, 400,000 defense, it's usually like 600, 700k, right? The last phase of Cell Max, I went into it, I don't remember which unit got hit with the super attack. I think it was either Fizz Future Gohan or AGL Super Saiyan Goku, the transforming one, right? The EZA. I think one of them got hit for like 1.8 million, so basically ×3 the damage, and it is ridiculous. Because the thing is, it's so deceptive because of the whole, first two phases are okay, and then it's like, third phase, bam, kind of thing. But no, it's a very interesting event for sure. I think this is something that's also really cool because, in my opinion, I think the best decision they made with this event was removing the limited tries thing completely. It just let us go ham on it consistently, keep trying it again and again and again. So that was a lot of fun, at least. I'm glad that Dokkan didn't put the whole 3 tries a day thing on the event.
Yeah, I think you're kind of rolling some thunder here a little bit that we're going to get into, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier the jump from phase 2 to phase 3. We'll definitely get in a little bit more as we go, but let's go ahead and talk about something that usually isn't the case here with difficult content in Dokkan, and it is actually much harder at the moment on the global side of things, as they are missing the best unit in the game, we could call it, but also the best leader skill in the game with Trunks and Vegeta. Global does not have that, so the bond of parent and child category is just not accessible to them. So I say them, but global, you have to use like the LR Gods leader skill or the LR Super Saiyan 4's leader skill, and it kind of makes things a little bit trickier, as you know, Trunks and Vegeta are basically just like every Goku family, every Vegeta family unit just kind of mushed into one category, and you can essentially make any build you want. You can make like a Realm of Gods team, you can make like a Grade 8 Power version, you can make whatever you want with that team essentially, and it's like that just makes it so much easier on the JP side. You're going to see a lot of the no item runs and all that coming from the JP side of things, just because it's that much harder on global. Tystra, if you had to go into it, what would you be like your plan of attack? Like if you were going to bring your best team there?
Okay, so I've kind of already like decided that, you know, when it comes to going into this event, the gods are going to be my go-to.
Okay.
Just because of the fact that with the rotation of the gods with, you know, Tech SSG Goku, especially with the Easy A. Like, it's already guaranteed that that's probably one of the best rotations to run. It's just picking the extra units on top of that, because from what I've been seeing on Twitter and just in general when it comes to the Dokkan community, there are some hidden gems for this event in particular, and there are some that you look at and you think they would do like amazing, but it turns out they're not that good. I've also heard murmurs of Namek Goku actually getting the kind of, you know, praise that he deserves when it comes to this event.
Teister, you gotta slow down, man. There's format to this stuff. you're just putting out all the cards on the table. But yeah, you are right with the hidden gems, right? So you said that you would want to run the Power Beyond Super Saiyan Team / Movie Heroes, right? I think global
absolutely.
on the So honestly, I think the Cell Max event kind of puts the 7-year LR debate to bed. If you want to just use that as your bar for how units are now. The gods just having that dodge chance is just so valuable. Like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta could obviously counter, but you know those normals are just hitting so hard that it is tough to say, right? Gale, have you completed this event yet?
Yeah, I did complete this event, and I think more so than the dodge chance. Of course, that's so much nicer than the damage reduction that the SJ4s get. But I still feel when I was running through the event, the SJ4s tanked good enough to the point where it was fine. But of course, I think the dodge chance, taking no damage at all, works really well. And the fact that Cell Max's event doesn't disable dodge also helps out tremendously. But I think the biggest thing that isn't the advantage of the gods, more so than the SSJ4s, is just that leader skill. Again, like you said earlier on with Vegeta and Trunks, the beautiful thing about them is that it allows you to run so many different units, which we'll talk about later on, right? But the beautiful thing about the gods is that it also allows you on global to run a variety of units that are going to be so vital for your run in the Cell Max event. I was going to say Red Zone for a second there, but the Cell Max event
used to saying Red Zone, right? Yeah, it's like
too much Red Zone. Red Zone's all on my head, man. But no, I think that's the better thing about the gods more so than anything else. And I think this is something we've already known for a very long time. It's just the gods have such a good leader skill, whereas the SSJ4s, they're lacking, unfortunately, when it comes to that leader skill. The GT Heroes team there's a lot to be desired for still, right? Obviously, I know JP's gotten Pan and stuff, but like, I actually haven't seen anybody run Pan yet, but I don't know if anybody wants to try that, in all honesty.
I'm sure someone will.
Yeah, I'm sure someone will. There will be videos on that for sure, right? But yeah, it's going to be very interesting in that regards. I think the leader skill is what helps the gods more so than anything else, to be honest.
Yeah, you said it best, and I think we'll get into that when we start to cover some of like the secret units that you might not be using to kind of help. But let's go ahead and talk about a couple things about the event, the things that we like and the things that we don't like. So I think Gale, like I said, Gale already got the ball rolling, where the main thing I think that everybody likes is the fact that the attempt restriction is gone, and it's essentially just a sandbox of difficult content. I like the speed of the event, for better or for worse, how it's like you can get like a try, it'll take you 3 minutes. If you don't get it, you can go right back in. Because slow teams, it's kind of tricky, right? So that's the thing I like the most about the event, the speed of it, and the fact that it's like like you said, the daily attempts, right? So it's like Broly, you could have like 2 or like 3 10-minute runs, and they all just come up short because of one bad break. This one, it's not 3 attempts, and you end up losing it like 2 to 3 minutes or whatever, and it's just on to the next attempt. I think that's my favorite part about it. Teister,
absolutely.
I'm sorry. Teister, I know you haven't played, but from a broader or for a blind perspective, so to speak, what would you say is like your favorite thing about this event?
Well, I mean, I really like Dragon Ball Super Superhero, and the fact that we're already getting an event based around Dragon Ball Super Superhero is fantastic. When it comes to like, I would say cosmetic in the sense, like that's what I like about it. But honestly, like I think for me as somebody who, like, I could maybe say is somewhat of an ambassador of the Dokkan community, I love the fact that there's another event that people are gravitating towards, and it's caused such a ruckus, whether it's good or bad, and it's caused a lot of discussion. That's what I kind of like about it.
The fallout from this event is absolutely insane in terms of like how we've evaluated units. Like, there's so many units that like had like no relevancy, and now all of a sudden, or like they came out like this year, for example, Majin Vegeta. All of a sudden, Majin Vegeta, whoa, is he the best TUR just because of this event alone? And I think that's really, it's just flipped the rankings up on its head, and now we just think everything has changed just from this little 3-phase event, and I think it's really cool how it's kind of worked out that way. Gale, I'll go ahead and let you kind of talk about some stuff too. What do you like about the event?
No, I definitely agree with whatever you guys have said. Like, it just adds a new sort of discussion to it brings a new discussion to the table, right? The one thing I will also say that I actually kind of like is that it kind of it does two things at the same time. One, it shows that Red Zone was a good place for people to understand what good units are good or bad, right? Because a lot of people said that, other events, they also matter and stuff, good, units for SBR really matter. Like, I mean, perfect example, Raditz, right? A lot of people were trying to defend Raditz by saying, oh, he's amazing in SBR and whatnot. It's not just Red Zone. But the thing is, Dokkan's going to consistently try and, push the boundaries of, how events are run. Like, one of the things in this event is there's no items, basically. All you get is a Senzu Bean, and obviously it helps you with the locking phase, which we'll talk about later on, of course, I think, right? But it's so interesting because it actually, promotes the whole argument of, like, you have to try and judge all of the new units that come out in the latest content. Otherwise, it's going to go, it's not going to be the same sort of, like, it's going to be out of date information at that point kind of thing, right? The thing is, though, at the same time, the biggest advantage Majin Vegeta has in this event is the fact that he's a type advantage, but also just generally his kit as well is so, geared towards this tech Cell. If Cell was a different typing, Majin Vegeta probably wouldn't have been the same way. So at the same time, people have to, temper their, understanding of the units and stuff like that, because things will change as more events come out. So it's going to be an ever-changing discussion, I think. That's the beautiful thing about this event, I suppose, is it just shows that Dokkan's going to keep updating and changing every so often. It just depends on how they change it from here on out, basically.
Right, yeah.
I think it really...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, my apologies. But I think you really touched up on a good point there that I always talk about when it comes to Dokkan, is that just because a unit is not good for one thing doesn't mean that it can't be good for another event. And it's exactly that, because we're so used to seeing these units and them being power crept, or everybody's just like, oh, they're mid now. Now you actually get to see some of these, like, some older units and all that could possibly work out in these situations.
Yeah, you said it really well. I just can't seem to get it today.
It's okay, bro. It's okay. It happens. It's happened. It's 3 a.m. for Vilify. Let the man rest. It's okay.
Almost 4 a.m. Shout out to Minato.
Shout out to Minato.
Yeah, Taisha, you said, you guys said it really well, where it's like now we're kind of getting this weird thing that we usually don't see a ton, where units age really poorly and then all of a sudden they just like have blossomed, right? I think we can just kind of like not even transition to it, but just kind of talk about this as its own thing. But Namek Goku, right? We went from, like I said this before we were recording, like the joke is like, oh, he's a quest mode killer, right? And now all of a sudden, like, the script has been flipped, right? And now he's like really, really good in this really hard event. Now, obviously, the Cell Max Super, he can't tank it or anything like that, but you can get that defense up to 700, 800k, and if you have him in slot 2 where he gets that attack buff against an extreme class enemy, we're talking 9, 10 million attack stats with additionals that are like 8 million. He's just looking really good in this event, and I think that's really cool how they kind of gave him this pseudo redemption arc. Was it because they heard or saw what the people were saying? We're like, man, this is a premium Dokkan Fest LR. We gotta redeem this man. Maybe they just have a Namek love like a lot of people do, but who knows?
Yeah, I think one thing to note as well is Namek Goku is really good, especially because the funny thing is, with the second phase of Cell, right, he does AoE attack, so you could in theory get a quadruple super with this Namek Goku, which means his stats are going up much, much faster, right? But no, I think Namek Goku is really, really solid in here. I love the fact that they've given him some love in here before he's probably going to be replaced by the cooler SJ Goku. We'll see. I mean, who knows? Allegedly. But the thing is as well, you mentioned about, like, of course he can't take a super attack, but again, I think that's where, units like Tech Gogeta as well as, STR Vegito, less STR Vegito, more Tech Gogeta here, I would say.
Yeah.
But Tech Gogeta here is so good because the thing is, with the first two phases being so easy, shall we say, right? You are definitely going to be able to fuse with Gogeta, funnily enough here, right? The one thing about Gogeta that we all didn't like too much was that in the red zone, oh, you couldn't transform with him because your HP was consistently lower than 77% HP, right? But in fact, here, it's the other way around. You're definitely going to be above 77% HP in the first 3 turns, because usually for me, from my experience, I would go into the tech cell phase on turn 4 or 5. By then, you should have the active skill ready for Gogeta. So, I mean, that's another unit I feel like, low-key, I feel like not many people talked about it, but I feel like that's another unit that arguably did really well in terms of this sort of event, basically being able to transform at least. I don't know how well he tanks, that's another topic, but his transformation is, I feel, a lot more easier to achieve in this sort of an event.
Yeah, I kind of want to take that and transition into our next point where you bring up how you're going to be in the last phase in 4 to 5 turns, right? So here's going to be, like, this is where we got to get a little bit negative. This is the one thing I don't like about this event. The first 2 phases being so easy kind of makes it difficult for these units that you want to build up a little bit. Even the 7-year LRs, you want to get a couple stacks in, and they just clear out these first 2 phases so fast that it makes that cell super attack, like the tech cell, it's just like almost impossible to tank it, right? Like, there's very few units in the game that can tank it. Like, we'll talk about one that's kind of like a, you know, a little secret, but you know, like Tech Guy Goku, who's like, you know, pseudo like the best defensive unit in the game in terms of like against movie bosses, he's taken 250 plus from this, or 250k plus from the super attack. So this cell just hits so hard, and the fact that you can't, it's really hard to take like a slow mode team, like to get those stacks up like the Hybrid Saiyans. You're just gonna get to that last phase too fast, and it makes it really tough. But I think for the sake of it being difficult content, that's okay, but it kind of limits your options, especially if you're somebody who doesn't have all of the new units, and it's like, oh, you're just clearing this out so fast, and you don't have your 7-year LRs duped out. Good luck, you know. And I don't really like that, but I do like how this event is mostly structured. But there's got to be a negative to everything.
Yeah, absolutely agreed on that one. But is there anything else on JP that you want to talk about? I mean, we know there's one unit that is the best of all time, but do you want to talk about it and how good they are in the event?
Trunks and Vegeta you were talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, even at type disadvantage in the second phase with the AoE and the super attack, they're not taking anything, but I think you'd be surprised how much damage they take in the third phase, right? Like, before they super, mine personally is 55%, but this is one of those units that you don't need dupes for them to be a tank. But in this case, again, script was flipped. Before super, this is like the run that I did that was recorded. They took 500k plus from the super, right? Before supering. So, you know, even this unit that we've seen that is such a good tank, a slot 1 machine, the best unit in the game right now, up until like probably for like the next week or so, but even they can't tank that super efficiently, right? And that's the best unit in the game. So it just shows you where we're at in terms of how hard this cell is.
Yeah,
that's insane to me.
Yeah, I was watching, I think it was, who was it? I think it was Truth. I think I was watching, and they were taking like 200k, and I was like, damn. But because the thing is, even though our HP is increased, right, usually, if you look at any team that we run under the 200%, it's usually like 650 to 700k. But the thing is, if he removes 200k from you, and then he potentially can double super as well, that's 400k at the very least, right? That goes away. And then you do the normals and stuff, and that is also another like 50k per.
It equals death.
Literally, it's death.
Yeah.
It's death basically. You're not meant to survive. There's very few units I think that can survive a full like a double super turn from Cell Max. That's one of the things as well here. But let's talk about some of the more hidden gem units if you want, Vilify. I mean, one that I was seeing on Twitter a lot was you know, the biggest gem of all, I'd say, is probably Int Hercule.
Yeah, Int Hercule with his dodge chance, his damage reduction, the potential guard that he can have, absolutely makes him an ace in this event. I've seen a gazillion screenshots of him taking double digits. It's just that the fact that he does no damage is going to kind of be the counter side to that, but you pair him up with a unit that can do damage, and all of a sudden Int Hercule is just going to tear it up for whatever reason. And he is on the Bond of Parent and Child team, so you can go ahead and run him under that Trunks and Vegeta leader skill over on the JP side and reap the benefits. This is a unit that most people are going to have. You don't need to invest your resources into him. If you want to rainbow him and put the orbs in, go ahead, but you honestly don't even need to. And it's one of those guys that it's like, you know, it's not a premium Dokkan Fest summon. It's not an LR. It's just a unit you can get whenever. You probably have him sitting in the box with a bunch of dupes that you haven't thrown into him yet. Go ahead and get this boy up to TUR and just watch him go to work. He cooks in here. Not offensively, but he's just like, a grade A tank with extra armor on the side. It's insane to watch. Like, just for, this unit that, hasn't really seen much relevancy since, like, the God event, like, against a tech god. It's pretty insane to see this glow up, so to speak.
Yeah, and speaking of glow up, another unit that got a big glow up in my opinion, I think in Majin Vegeta, I feel like was known to be strong. It's just that he needed a unit like Vegeta and Trunks to be really good. But another unit I feel like a lot of people, talk down upon, but is actually really good in here, especially, is AGL Pycon with type disadvantage as well. Though he's still really good because of that Ghost Usher active skill, and just generally his support ability, I think, is what helps him a lot, right?
Yeah, and you also got to mention that he has a dodge chance, right?
Yes, that is there as well.
If that cell could be sealed, he would be an absolute machine unit, whatever you want to call him in here. Obviously, you are running a risk reward with the dodge chance. Excuse me, but the Ghost Usher ability that you have is just so valuable. It's the same thing that makes the android so good, right? Just being able to take away the attacks for one turn. That could be the difference between you winning and it could be the difference between you losing, right? Because it might be the last turn you need. Pycon's floater, he shows up, there's his active skill. You can go ahead and let the gods or your Super Saiyan 4s or Trunks of Vegeta go to work. And now all of a sudden you have a win against our boy Cell here. So AGL Pycon is a very good shout. Tystra, you want to go ahead and mention any that you have seen over on Twitter?
Well, mainly it's been Int Hercule, but one that I've kind of noticed as well is one of my favorite units of all time. Int Vegito, of course, is going to be on this list. I love the fact that Int Vegito's there, and the counters do help, but overall, like, I've been seeing a lot more praise for one of the best units in Dokkan. But no, been seeing some praise about him, so I'm very happy to see that my boy is back in good graces with the Dokkan community.
Yeah, definitely. I think his free heal as well helps out a lot. Like, if you can survive a turn and you're under half HP, I should say, under 50% HP, that's a free heal right there, which is immense, especially in this sort of an event where you're just taking so much damage at the end, right?
Let me play devil's advocate here. I've been using Int Vegito, and I'm struggling to get the HP, or the heal back, because it's like, if you get caught, you don't go down to 30% HP, you just flat out die. So, and he's one of those units that does take damage in the second phase, as the physical AoEs can hurt. Because you're not throwing that unit in slot 1, right? And these AoEs, like, if you've played it, Cell Max, like, he's doing like 4 or 5 AoEs, like, in that second phase right now. They don't hit that hard, so it's okay. But those little 35 and 40Ks add up when they're not when the Vegito's not dodging them. And it's like, if you go into a turn against Cell Max with like 408k HP, there's a good chance you're not going to live through that turn unless you have like God Goku on rotation. But let's go ahead and talk about, before we kind of get, like, I just got to mention this real quick, right? Cell also can lock units, so, that's why you bring the Senzu Bean. Not even really to heal, just to unlock. I feel like we just got to mention that really quickly before we round out these hidden gems. I think there's one more we got to talk about. There's a common theme here with the typings, right? We have AGL Pycon, who's kind of weird, but let's go ahead and talk about the last unit. Now, this was the Saiyan Day 2021 unit. His name is Broly. He is Int Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, the Stacky Boy, the additional boy. He does not have his damage reduction in here. He does not have his, it's just a damage reduction, right? And then he gets another chance. I think it's like another chance to get a super if he's fighting a Saiyan.
Chance, I think.
Critical chance, right? Yeah, so, no hybrid or pure Saiyan here, so Broly is not going to look at his best, but his stacking can 100% be viable in this event for taking normals at the end. Again, like I said, with a lot of units in this game right now, it's literally like 99.99% of the game cannot take that Cell Max Super. So that is not the bar, in my opinion, to how if a unit is good or not. It's just if your unit's an ace or not, I think, at this point. It's like, what's a cheat code to this event? You take 200k from that Super. Unless you're Hercule, that's a thing.
I mean, I was gonna add another unit actually on top of Int Broly. I think Int Broly is a fantastic option, but one that I've actually been seeing, and it's a unit that we've been absolutely slandering for the last year and a half or two, basically.
I know where this is going.
Int SSBE Vegeta, bro. Boom. I swear, man, I don't know how this man has come back up, but he's actually pretty decent. I think he did take like 124k normal at the start, but if you build up that damage reduction, he's not that bad, in all honesty. I'm surprised that he managed to survive in my run, personally. I still don't know how I did what I did with the team that I ran, but I cleared it, so I'm gonna take a dub where I get it. And yeah, it's just crazy to see him as well. Like, I think it's something where it's just like, as long as they can, you know, stack up defense, or if they can just make sure that they can hold themselves right at the end of those normals and super attack, well, super attack less so normals, it's more than fine, because the super attacks, when they come, you're pretty much a goner effectively. You gotta pray effectively at that point if you're you know, getting hit by one of those.
Yeah, this man Gale Riot, if you guys just want some perspective here, he decided that, you know, here's a good unit to bring, AGL Mighty Mask after their EZA with their 30% chance to dodge, right? No AGL UI Goku, nah, Mighty Mask. Yeah, that's where Gale Riot's at. So if he can clear it with Mighty Mask, yeah, listen, if you can clear it with if he can clear it with Mighty Mask, you guys can clear it with your 7-year LR guards, I promise. So I feel like we've talked your head off about the specifics of the event, but let's kind of go ahead and talk about the impact of the event before we close out here. If Cell is like this, I feel like we'll just kind of go word for word here, right? If Cell is like this, what in the world are they planning for these worldwide LRs? Because obviously those guys are going to be the counters, right? Like, what are they cooking to kind of like? This is just what's it called? Speculation, right? Like what like is it going to be like guard and damage reduction against a certain type of enemy? Is it going to be, you know, like a 15 to 20 million attack stat, like for free? Like what in the world are they going to do to make these two counter this Cell Max, if that's their kind of goal here?
Well, one thing I've noticed recently that they've been doing a lot, right? If you look at Pan and Fasha specifically as well, right? You've got them having very certain conditions before they attack, or, you know, or for a certain amount of turns they have a guard up, right? Even Rose Masu, right? But then once they get that those stacks up and everything, they top off at around 700, 800k defense effectively, right? I assume it's going to be something very similar to these types of units. I feel like they've been doing these way too commonly now. And I think Cooler or Goku will feature something like that, where initially they'll have a certain amount of guard, or like they'll have damage reduction at the start of turn before they attack. And then they'll have like a little bit of damage reduction, or just a high chance to guard or something, but they will be able to either stack or like have like 800k, 900k defense off the rip basically once they finish off their super attacks. So I think it's going to be something along those lines for sure, in my opinion. I think that sort of thing may be able to counter something like Cell, right? Because as long as you got that damage reduction and a really good amount of defense, like say 600, 700k at the start of turn, and then you just boost that up post the super attack, but you remove like the guard and damage reduction, maybe they'll still be able to survive. So something like that, I feel. But they're going to have some ridiculous amounts of defense late into the fight, I feel.
Yeah, I think that you said it really well. Tystra, now that you've kind of gotten the whole breakdown here for about 30 minutes of the Cell Max event, how well prepared do you think you are now going forward? Do you think you're going to be able to go in there and clear it, or are you still going to be in this purgatory where you don't know if you can do it or not?
Well, I think overall my confidence in being able to go into the event is very low. But the fact that it has infinite tries, basically, and makes it a little bit more tempting to actually be like, okay, Tystra, put your nose to the grindstone and just get it done. And especially since right now, like, as we're talking about these new units that are coming out, like, even if I don't do it today or tomorrow, when the units come out and we see just how broken these guys are, which I'm 99.9% sure these guys are going to be ridiculous with what we've seen, like, I'm gonna have that moment to be able to beat it. And it makes me kind of excited for, like, you know, the newer stages of either this event or harder events to come by later on. Like, this is the first time I think I've actually been excited to participate in a hard event for Dokkan.
Just a friendly reminder, when they drop it at the same time, it's way more fun, because you guys had 6 months to prepare for the red zone over on Global, and it's like the same thing with a lot of other like super battle road stages and whatnot. But when we all kind of get hit with this wave at the same time, I think it is a lot more fun. But, you know, we've talked your heads off for about 30 minutes here about the Cell Max event, so let us know what you guys are thinking down below in the comment section. Have you guys been able to beat it? Are you still struggling? Are you still stuck in this Cell rodeo? We'll go ahead and call it if we're here. It's tough, but with this quote-unquote guide, we can go ahead and maybe you guys can get it done. But that's all we got for you today. Don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe to 59 Mobile and turn on notifications so you don't miss out when we post a video like this. Worldwide's coming up, so we have a ton of content planned out for you guys. Have a great day, everyone. We're signing out.